My name is Victoria Lane. I'm 30 years old, and this is the story of the day I discovered the truth about my parents. They told me they wouldn't do anything for my wedding because we're saving money. That day, I stood in their kitchen in Fargo, North Dakota, staring at a crumpled receipt. It wasn't for groceries or something small. It was for a Tesla $88,888 bought for my sister. My heart sank, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just smiled. They thought I would stay quiet, play along, and keep pretending nothing was wrong while my sister basked in their favoritism. But the receipt in my hand changed everything. Later that evening, my sister rolled up in the shiny new car, laughing, completely unaware of the storm she had sparked. I said nothing, slipped the receipt into my pocket, and walked out into the cold night, my mind already racing with decisions. The next morning, they begged me, "Don't do this," but it was too late. My trust was gone, and I was ready to teach them a lesson they would never forget. Now I want to hear from you. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Would you confront them, walk away, or take another path? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to see how you would handle a betrayal like this. That afternoon, I went back to my parents' house to grab some paperwork. I was knee-deep in wedding plans, trying to stretch my savings to cover a venue in Fargo, North Dakota. My dress fitting was tomorrow, and I'd spent hours comparing caterers, hoping for a small reception I could afford alone. My parents' refusal to help stung, but I was determined to make it work. In their living room, I dug through a drawer for my birth certificate needed for the marriage license. That's when I found it, a pile of receipts tucked away like dirty secrets. A custom dining set for my sister Morgan, $5,000. A gold bracelet, $3,000. Plane tickets to Hawaii, $2,000. My hands shook. This was my money from the family account I'd poured thousands into. I'd been sending my parents $2,000 a month to keep their house running, believing it was for us all. My dad Thomas and my mom Susan swore they were saving money, but these receipts told a different story. They were funding Morgan's extravagance while I scrambled to pay for my own wedding. I drove to the bank, my mind racing with images of my unworn dress and unpaid venue deposit. The teller pulled up our joint account. My breath caught $12,000 withdrawn over 4 months, all for Morgan's purchases. Susan's signature was on every transaction. Thomas had approved them too. I stared at the screen, betrayal sinking in like a knife. Back at my apartment, I didn't cry. I acted. I logged into the bank app, my fingers steady as I canceled the monthly $2,000 transfers to their account. Confirm. Done. They'd notice soon, but I wasn't ready to confront them. I needed proof, something undeniable. I grabbed a notebook listing every receipt: dining set $5,000, bracelet $3,000, Hawaii trip $2,000. I snapped photos of each, saving them to my phone. The bank promised to email detailed statements by morning. I wasn't just angry, I was focused. This was about more than money. It was about being used. Morgan, clueless, kept flaunting her lifestyle. That night, her Instagram showed her posing with the gold bracelet, captioned, "Treating myself." The dining set gleamed in the background of another post. She didn't know the money had stopped. My parents didn't either, but the silence wouldn't last. Every cent I'd saved was for my future, not Morgan's luxuries. At a coffee shop the next day, I skimmed through catering menus, pretending to focus while my mind churned. My parents thought they could keep lying, but I was building a case. Morgan's next post popped up, a selfie in a designer dress, probably bought with my money too. My jaw clenched. Each photo, each lie pushed me further. They'd taken my trust, my savings, my wedding. I was done letting them. A week later, my sister called me out of the blue. Morgan's voice chirped through the phone, all excitement, no shame. "Hey, I need $500 for a party," she said, to show off my new Tesla with friends. She went on about the rooftop bar she'd booked in Fargo, how she'd look stunning in the photos. I gripped my phone, my knuckles white. She was throwing a party to celebrate a car my money had paid for while I was cutting corners on my wedding budget. "I'm saving too," I said, my tone flat. "Good luck with the party." I hung up before she could reply. Morgan sounded confused but not suspicious. She didn't know I'd stopped the family's cash flow. That same day, I got a text from Susan. "We missed your transfer this month." She wrote all casual, like it was my mistake. "Everything okay?" I didn't respond. Thomas sent one too. "Call us, we need to talk." I swiped them away, pretending I was swamped with work. They were starting to feel the pinch just as I'd planned. At my desk, I was juggling wedding vendors, florists, photographers, a DJ, all on my own dime. Every call reminded me of their betrayal. They'd left me to fend for myself while Morgan partied. My resolve hardened. That night, Morgan's Instagram lit up. A post showed her at the rooftop bar posing with friends, the Tesla parked below like a trophy. "Best night ever," the caption read. My stomach churned. She was living it up, oblivious to the hole she'd dug with my savings. I scrolled through the photos, her laughing, clinking glasses, wearing a dress I'd bet was another gift from my parents. I didn't comment or like the post. I just stared, letting the anger fuel me. They thought they could keep using me, but I was done being their bank. The next morning, I met with a lawyer in Fargo. The house my parents lived in, our family's anchor, was legally mine, left to me in my grandmother's will. I'd let them stay there thinking we were a team. But now I saw the truth. They'd used my trust to fund Morgan's lifestyle. The lawyer laid out my options. I could start the process to reclaim full control of the property. It wasn't simple paperwork, notices, maybe even eviction if they fought back. But it was possible. I nodded, calm but certain. "Let's do it," I said. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger yet, but I wanted everything in place. Back at my apartment, I pulled out my notebook, adding Morgan's call to my list of evidence. $500 for a party on top of the Tesla, the furniture, the jewelry. I checked my email. The bank statements had arrived, detailing every withdrawal Susan and Thomas had made. Thousands of dollars, all for Morgan. I saved the files, my hands steady. At a wedding dress fitting that afternoon, I stood in front of the mirror, the white gown feeling heavier than it should. The seamstress asked if I was okay. I forced a smile, said I was fine. But inside, I was mapping out my next steps. Morgan's party photos kept flashing in my mind, each one a reminder of their lies. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Susan sent another text, more urgent. "Victoria, we really need that money." Thomas called, leaving a voicemail I didn't play. I was too busy calling the bank again, ensuring my accounts were locked down. Morgan's Instagram posted another story, a video of her driving the Tesla, music blaring, friends cheering. She had no clue the ground was shifting under her. My parents were starting to panic, but I stayed silent, letting them sweat. The house, the money, their whole world, it was all tied to me, and I was ready to take it back. One evening, I got a text from my mom. Susan's message popped up on my phone as I sat at my kitchen table in Fargo, North Dakota, sorting through wedding invoices. "Victoria, the Tesla was a misunderstanding," she wrote. "We need your help to keep things together. Please send the money again." Her words dripped with fake remorse, like she thought a quick apology would erase years of lies. I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. No reply. Silence was my weapon now, and I'd let them feel it. They'd been living off my $2,000 monthly transfers for too long, and I wasn't going back. The next morning, Thomas called. His voice was sharp, accusing. "You're being selfish, Victoria," he said. "You're abandoning your family over a car. We raised you better." I gripped the phone, my pulse racing. He didn't mention the furniture, the jewelry, or the trips they'd funded for Morgan, just the Tesla, as if that was the only betrayal. "I'm busy," I said, cutting him off. "Figure it out." I hung up, my hands shaking but my resolve firm. Thomas thought he could guilt me into submission, but I wasn't the obedient daughter anymore. Their panic was growing, and I wanted it to. That afternoon, my best friend Stacy Bennett called. She's a designer, sharp and loyal, and her voice was tense. Victoria, I heard something you need to know, she said. My heart sank as she explained Thomas and Susan had used my identity to take out a $10,000 loan from a Fargo bank, all to cover Morgan's expenses. Stacy had overheard a mutual friend mention it at a coffee shop, piecing it together from bank gossip. I felt like I'd been punched. Not only had they drained my savings, but they'd also stolen my name for her. I thanked Stacy, my voice steady, despite the rage boiling inside. I drove to the bank that same day, clutching my notebook of evidence receipts, bank statements, everything I'd collected. The manager listened as I laid it all out: the withdrawals for Morgan's luxuries, the canceled transfers, and now this loan. I showed my ID, proving it was my name on their paperwork. They didn't have my permission, I said, my tone cold. The manager nodded, pulling up the account. The loan was recent, $10,000 with Susan's signature and Thomas's approval. I demanded they freeze the transactions. We'll investigate, she promised, but you'll need to file a fraud report. I agreed, signing the forms, my pen steady. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was theft, plain and simple. Back at my apartment, I sat with Stacy over coffee, my mind racing. She pushed a plate of pastries my way, trying to lighten the mood, but I barely touched them. They've crossed a line, she said, her eyes fierce. I nodded, flipping through my notebook. The loan details were there alongside the earlier receipts. I was building a case, not just to protect myself, but to make them pay. Susan sent another text that night. Please, Victoria, we're struggling. I didn't respond. Thomas left a voicemail, his tone softer but still manipulative.